All right, hey, how's it going? So today I have a project I wanted to get a step-by-step guide for. Other guides exist on the internet. This is gonna be my guide. If you like it, great. But when I was about 30 years old, I finally discovered that paying the man for doing basics like oil changes and stuff was kind of a big waste of money. They love to upsell you. They love to pressure you, is the best way to put it, to get things done that you don't necessarily need done. Now, some things are recommended, but some things, a lot of things they try to get you to do while you're doing an oil change at places like Jiffy Lube. It's a lot of upselling. So I got sick of that. So when I was about 30 years old, about 20 years ago, I started doing my own oil changes, brake changes, bleeding the brakes, changing rotors and brake pads and calipers and all that stuff. I do all that stuff by myself, not a mechanic, but just the basics of maintenance, changing my fluids, the brake fluid, the washer, fluid, all that stuff. So I learned how to do all that stuff and invested in the equipment to save that money and to save the bother of having to go through these oil change places and dealing with that whole thing. So for the last 20 years, I've done all the oil changes on my wife's and my vehicles. And today I'm going to be changing the oil on my Fiat Abarth, Abarth, however you say that. But this is a 2016. I'm gonna flip it around here, show you the car. This is a Fiat Abarth. This is it's a stick shift. This is what I usually ride around in when I'm not riding around on my motorcycle. But it's an Abarth, is it? But we're about to go on a vacation where we have a large family, as I've probably told you in previous videos. And we're gonna have to take two vehicles to fit everybody. So we've got the big vehicle, which is a Honda Pilot, which is gonna fit most of the family. And then we're gonna take this, and two or three of us will be riding in this as well. My oldest son, his girlfriend has come in from Canada, and she'll also be joining us for the vacation. We're heading out on Monday. We'll be gone the whole week. So I wanted to make sure this oil was changed. If you get inside, it's obvious to tell if you need oil changed, but just to show you kind of what you see when you, if I can get my keys now. I'm not sure where I put them. Here's the keys. All right, so how do you know if you need an oil change? That's the first step, right? If you totally are a noob and you don't recognize what an oil change looks like or is needed in your vehicle, I'm gonna flip it around here and show you what it looks like on the dashboard when I start up the car. You see that big old picture of an oil can right there, right in the middle, right? And it even says it, oil change required. So that's how you know if the Fiat Abarth 2016 is this year, needs an oil change. So what I'm gonna do today is get that oil changed and change the fluids. I'm going to record it step by step, and I'm going to post it. And if it's helpful to you, feel free to hit that like and subscribe button for more tutorials and step-by-step guides that I like to do in my day-to-day life with the things that I'm involved in with. So let me kind of quickly walk you through the tools of the trade that I'm going to need today. I have got the jack. This is a hydraulic jack. I invested in one of those because it really makes getting the vehicle up a lot faster, a lot easier, a lot less stress. Got a few funnels that I'll need for the different liquids. There's my brake fluid can. There's my filter for the Fiat Abarth. It is a FRAM FD 9713. I have got the oil, 5W40. I've got some windshield wiper fluid I'm gonna put in there. And then I've got a ratchet set, which I'm gonna need for the nut on the bottom of the oil pan. I've also got a hammer, because a lot of times that nut is a little bit difficult to get off, and so I kind of bang the ratchet to loosen it. A screwdriver, because I'll need that for the top. And then you see this long bar here. This is so that you can get into the engine. In order to remove the oil filter on the Fiat Abarth, you have to have this long extension arm to go down into the engine to be able to loosen up the cap to have it fall out, or to be able to pull it up. This is a 27. So the long arm is attached to it. It's one piece. And this is basically just an extension arm to be able to get down into the engine. So if you go to your local Advanced Auto Parts and look for something like this and tell them you need a number 27 for the Fiat Abarth, that will be the right one to be able to get that cap off. That is around the oil filter. So without further ado, I'm going to get this GoPro on my head. I'm going to be kind of showing you first person as I go along, step by step, just exactly what I do to get my oil changed on the 2016 Fiat Abarth. So again, if this is helpful to you, feel free to like, subscribe. If you have any comments, any suggestions, anything you'd like to see, let me know. Without further ado, I'm going to get started. So, all right, I also forgot to show you the, you're going to need an oil pan to drain your oil down into, okay? All right, so the first thing I'm doing is getting my jack, and I'm going to raise the vehicle up. This guy gets up under here and gets put, there's a bolt under here, under the Abarth. Up under here, there's a bolt right here. There's a bolt there. You got to be able to get along the hard metal base. All right, so let me find the right spot. God damn it. Gotta cut some of that. I believe that's, I know the screw on the other side is good. I believe this is also good. Try it. You should be seeing the vehicle starting to raise up here. Make sure your emergency brake is on. If your emergency brake is on, especially for these stick shifts, if your emergency brake isn't on and if you're in neutral, this thing will roll back. You definitely don't want that. So put it in gear and put the emergency brake on. All right, so you see the vehicle going up here. The front is nicely elevated. You want to have enough room and you want to make sure it's secure enough. Make sure it's high enough that you can get your body up under here. You're going to have to lay up under here. The oil pan in the vehicle is back here. We're going to have to take this cover off, right? There's a cover, there's a plastic cover here. We're going to have to remove some screws. You see, it's got to be in a nice position here. Ideally, you don't want to be blocking this plastic cover here where I'm knocking right now. You don't want to be blocking this because this has to come off. Okay, it's got a screw here. I'm pointing at it, and then on the other side it's got a screw over here as well. And I might be in the way here. I don't think I am. If I am, I'm gonna have to readjust. But this lip folds up over this plastic piece here that doesn't come off, right? This comes off. And this lip, once you get those screws unfastened, as well as screws on the side here, we got a screw on the side here, we got a screw on the other side, and we got two screws up there, 1 and 2, right here. Once you get those off, this kind of pulls out and falls down, okay? So that's kind of what I'm gonna be working on, starting to get worked on first. Let me get that done. Okay, let me get the ratchet set. And because my memory is shit, I don't remember the size of these bolts. So I have my ratchet head on. It is a size number 10 socket head. And what I'm gonna do is get under here and just loosen up the bolts that are holding on this plastic cover here. I've got to take this off, okay? So that's the first thing I'm doing. And this one I feel like is, oh no, it's coming. You see me here, I'm loosening up the first bolt Hopefully you're getting it here. There it is. So first bolt is here. You just kind of pull that out. There it is. Okay, set them in a little pile over here. Should be 5 or 6 of them. I think I need to go up a little bit in the vehicle. 1 second. Jack it up a little bit further so I can get my fat ass under there. There we go. All right. All right, so the second one is over here. Right here. It's a little notch that comes out in the plastic in the cover here. Little notch, and it's got a screw here as well. That's got to come out. Okay, second screw. Put this over here on the side. So moving on down, we see down here, there's one right here. Inside of that hole there, that's got to come out. And also when you're under a vehicle, at least this is what I do, try to not put your body entirely under the vehicle. I'm kind of leaned halfway in and halfway out from under the vehicle, just in case something happens with that jack, that I hope I'm fast enough to get my ass out from under the vehicle before it squishes me. So you see this is starting to fall here now, which is what I want. So get the screw out here. There it is. There's that one. So I'm going to pull that out, put it with the others. 3 now that I have. Let's move this over here. Now, so this is toward the front of the vehicle again. And this is the one right here. Right near the jack. Hope the jack's not in the way. Yeah, I think it is in the way. So I'm going to have to reposition this jack. I'm going to put it here in the center. That's where I should have put it in the first place. That's where I usually put it. Right here, right in the center of the vehicle, between these 2 screws here, there's a nice bolt you can put it on. That's right in the middle of the vehicle. So I'm going to lower this jack and put it in the middle here and raise it back up, and I'll be back. I'm still working on the same goal that I had, which is to get this cover off. And you see the back side there is loose. The sides are loose here, but I need to get the sides on. I need to get these screws over here on this side off as well. I'll move this over here, and then I'll go to the other side and I'll work on those screws. This is really the most difficult part, is just getting this off, this plate, this plastic cover. It's an engine guard. I mean, you want to have it on there. You want to have it protected from the elements as you're riding. You don't want the rain and the mud and the debris to be getting up in your engine. So it's an engine guard, and it's there to guard your engine. Without it, it's not, wouldn't be good. So you gotta take it off, and you gotta take it off and put it on every time you change the oil. So here's another screw. Okay, there's that one, and then the last one is here. Oh, there's actually nothing in there, but there's one back here and the back side there. Right back here. You see it's already come all the way out. So let me show you. See, it's already this way. So it's already fallen out. You see it's already coming out. It's just a matter of getting that last screw loose, and then it will fall right out. So let me move this camera here. Okay. what I would like to get one of these days would be a garage lift, car lift, where I can just pull this bad boy up on it and lift the vehicle up and just kind of walk under it. But it's not really a necessity right now for me, so I haven't gotten it, but it would really make all this much easier if I had it. So once you have it loose, you see it just falls out. So you see this is coming right out, right? So this is the engine cover and it comes right out. So get my, so if it didn't come out, if it didn't fall out automatically, you just have to, the lip of the engine guard kind of slides into here. It slides in and clamps down there all the way across. All you have to do is kind of pull it, push it back, and it falls right down if all the screws are loose. And now you see all the engine under there, right? And that's what we need access to for the oil pan, is that cover had to be removed. So that's step one, remove the cover. All right, so that's now done. So I'm gonna put this screw back. I got a pile of screws. Let me put this over here with my other screws. So now I have those 5 at the end when I'm ready to put those back on, okay? So that part is done. And that's really, again, that's to me the hardest part, is just getting under there and getting that loose, getting that guard, that engine guard loosened up and off. Once you have that loose, it's usually a pretty quick job. Hopefully it is for me as well. But all right, so let me get in here and open up the hood, and then I'll get in there and show you around. Just wanted to show you, if you are a real big newbie and you've never changed, you've never gotten into the hood or anything, just know that to open the hood, there's this red lever, and that's what you need to pull up in order to unlatch the hood. Once you pull that, come out here and reach up under the front. There's a little yellow tab under there. You just push that to the right and then lift it up. Once you lift it up, there's a little rod over here, and this rod, you're gonna grab that rod, pull it up, and then latch it into the hole here. So you see it latched right into this hole here. Okay, and it fit right here. So once the hood is up, you have access to the engine. The first thing you wanna do is take off your oil lid to give that air and release that pressure on the oil. Just kind of loosen that up and set it here. That's what I do, set it right there. Okay, now to get down in here, way down in there is the oil cap. And to be able to reach that and pull it out, I've got to remove a few parts. This is very simple to do. We're not going to do this right now. First, I need to drain the oil. So I loosened up the lid here. Now it's time to get under the car and put my oil pan back there and loosen up the nut that holds the oil in, and then we'll go from there. So let me get set up here, and then we'll move on to step 2, which is draining the oil. Let me get up under here. So I have an oil pan here. This is my oil pan to drain the oil from the vehicle. I'm gonna take off this lid, and I'm gonna open this up, which relieves the pressure and enables that oil to go in there. So that's open, so now I can push this under the vehicle. If you have an oil pan like mine, great. Otherwise, if you have an oil pan of your own of a different type, just make sure you have the lid off and some pressure open, some vent open for it, okay? And then this will slide up under here. So now I'm going to go back, push this back here. There we go. All right, so move this back here. There we go. Oil pan bolt. Right here. That is the oil pan nut or bolt. I'm gonna go up here a little bit closer so you can see it. It's right there. Right here. So there's a protective pan here, and then you have the engine block here, and then over on it, this is the oil pan here, and over on it you have a bolt, and that bolt needs to get loosened up. Okay, so to do that, I use the ratchet set with an extension, and I go in from the back side. So I go in from this side, and the extension goes across and it goes onto the bolt. So let me get that ready. And as always, I don't remember what size it is, so I'm gonna have to figure that out. But you see here, I have an extension onto my ratchet, and that's gonna allow me to stretch across up here and get onto it. But the size, let me get the size. That's too small. Figured. All right. Too big, too small. This one's perfect. This is Goldilocks right here. So this is a number 13. It's a number 13 socket. All right. It's a hex 13. All right. So let's put that onto the end of here. Like so. And then we can move the oil pan out of the way for now. We'll slide that back and get this on here. You see how it fits across? That's tightening it. So there we go. It loosened up very easily. See? It's loosened up very easily. So now that's it. I broke the seal, and it's very easy to turn now. So I'm removing this, and I'm going to turn the rest of it by hand and put the oil pan under it. Okay, you see the oil pan right there under it. So the oil falls and it goes right into my oil pan. So you see what I'm doing here with my hands? I'm kind of using my finger to loosen it up. And then it's going to fall down and the oil is going to start coming out into the pan. There we go. See how it's draining? So it's draining right down into my oil pan, coming right out of there. And I'm just going to wait for it to drain. It's going to completely drain. I'm going to stop this video while it's draining, and then I'll be back when it's done. All right, so we are back. So the oil has pretty much finished. You see that it's just dripping, small drips now. So I can go ahead and get that screw, the bolt, the oil pan bolt. I'm going to lift it up out of the oil pan here, and I'm going to clean it off, and I'm going to put it back in. So you recall it dropped down in here, so I'm just going to kind of reach down here and find it. There it is. There it is. So I have a shop towel here. I'm just going to wrap it up in that, clean it off real good. So there it is, nice and clean. And then I'm going to just put it back here and screw it back in. You see I put it between my fingers here, like this, and lift it up and kind of scoop it over the nut and the hole and start it and get it started that way. That's the way I do it. You're welcome to do it however you want. That's the way I do it. You got to get it around that bar. That's the key. So once it's in there, just start it screwing in, screw it in. There it is. And then I'm gonna get my shop towel. I'm gonna clean up the area. So this whole area here had oil drop on it. So I'm gonna wipe that down real good. Wipe around the screw, the hole here real good, so it's dry. There it is. Get my hands clean. And then I'm going to get my ratchet and I'm gonna tighten that again. Okay, I'm gonna set that shop towel rag up there. Where's the ratchet? Here's the ratchet. So I'm going to tighten the nut back, just not over tighten it, otherwise it's going to be hell to get tightened or to get loose next time you want to take it off. So just tighten it, and then once it's hand tight enough, you just kind of do it once with a good, so a little bit of extra torque on it, and that's good. You don't have to over tighten that. It needs to be tight, but you don't want to over tighten it. So get that loose here. Or get that clean. That's nice and tight. Make sure, one more time here. So I'm going to move this out of the way just to give myself a little bit more leverage to make sure it's nice and tight. Here. So just kind of, there we go, hand tight, and now it's good. So now you have your old oil out. So now you need to take out the oil filter, and you need to put new oil in. So that will be our next part, will be loosening up the top parts that you need to loosen up in order to get that oil filter out. So I'm going to move this oil pan here. All right, you see where I put the oil pan here? I'm putting the oil pan right toward the front tire here because the filter is right up above here, and when it falls, it's going to drop oil down into the oil pan. You don't want the oil dropping all over the floor, so kind of seat it right here in this type of position, so that when you get that oil filter loose, any residual oil that's coming off of there is going to drop down into this oil pan. Okay, and I'm going to lift the oil filter up through the engine, so it's not going to actually fall down through, but any oil might be falling down into here, so just make sure your oil pan is aligned. Okay, you need to remove this arm here. Okay, and let me, in order to do that, my screwdriver. So I have a nice big screwdriver. I'm going to loosen up. Let me bring this here. Right here. You don't take it off. You just loosen it up. Just enough so that it will pull out. So you see I've got it in there, and I'm just going to loosen that. Just loosen it up. You just want to loosen it up enough so that this can pull up. Okay, and there's one of those on the other side. Here. Same deal here. Just loosen that up. Same deal. Loosen it up. And then the last step here is to unclamp this. So this hose will cause this to not be able to come out. So just loosen this up and push this outward to disconnect it from this. You could just push it back on whenever you're done. All right, so you see I got my needle nose pliers here. I'm gonna grip this, kind of open it, and then kind of just plop this off here. There we go. Sorry, I had to, you see it's off. There's the little lever for it there, and it just fits right back onto there, and it clamps right back on when you're finished later. So now this, I'm not exactly, it's a filter, some kind of a through fair for filter for air or something. I'm not exactly sure what this is. Again, I am not a mechanic. I just know this has to come off in order for me to get the oil filter out. So that's what I do. That's what I'm doing. So this comes off. So this just lifts up out of the hole down here, and then up here, this pulls out this way. So pull it out. Voila, this is off. You see, now this piece is off, and when you're ready, you just stick it right back down on there, and you latch it back down. So I'm gonna set it right here for now. Just set it on top here. And now I have access to be able to get down into here, which is where I need to get into. I'm gonna set my camera up here, and then I'm gonna get my phone and shine some light down there so you see kind of what I'm talking about. So one sec, I will be back. So right down in there, you see where I have to put my adjustable arm down through there. I've got to get the arm down through there and attached onto that hex nut, that hex bolt down there, and then I have to turn it to pull that cap out, which is the oil filter. So now let me get my adjustable wrench arm. So this is that long arm thing I showed you at the very beginning. So I'm gonna put this onto the wrench. Taking off the other components, the other parts, and I'm putting on this. And then I'm going to stick this down through here and attach it right onto the head. Let me see. There we go. So it's on there. So now, move this up here. I'm going to loosen it up by turning it counterclockwise. There we go. Just keep turning it until it's loose. All right. So it is loose and it's off. So now I'm going to pull this back up. Again, that's what this was. It's big. It's on the wrench, and it's the big adjustable arm that has the size socket on it that fits over that cap to loosen that up. So I'll set that here for now. So now I'm going to reach down in there and I'm going to pull that cap up. Hopefully you're getting enough light. So this is coming up. And this cap should fit right up around this, right? You got to kind of push this aside and pull this up. There you go. Jimmy it back and forth, and now the cap is loose. See, that's the oil cap lid, or the oil filter cap, I guess. Right, so I'm gonna set that here for now. Now if we look down in there, we can now see, I'm not sure if you can see it down there, but that is the top of the filter down there. If I can get a better shot. It's down in there. Right down in there. Okay, so let me get down in there. The oil filter is not screwed in. So all you do is grab it, and you see I'm not under the oil pan. You see the oil pan down on the bottom? I don't know if you can see all the way down there, but the oil pan is not lined up correctly. So before I take that out, I'm going to get up into here, move the oil pan back some. There we go. So when I look down in through here, I want to see the oil pan. There we go. I want to see the oil pan underneath of where the oil filter is, so that when I pull that out, any oil falls down into the oil pan and not on the floor, not on the ground. Okay. So let me reach down and pull that up. There it is. So there it is. Pulling that up. And then I'm going to quickly grab this and put it in the oil pan. So I threw that in the oil pan, and let me grab this shop towel and wipe the floor. A couple of drops fell on the ground. Going to clean that up. So now there's an empty hole down there. Let me dry my head off. Sweating like a stuffed pig. God damn. Down in there, now you see the opening. Down there, see that shiny area down there where you seat the new, there it is, where you seat the new oil filter. You see it down there? Right down there. So I'm going to get the new oil filter and get that prepped, and I'm going to drop it down there, put the cap on and screw it up. This is our oil filter. Again, this is a FRAM FD9713. So what we want to do is open this up. This is the brand new oil filter. Set that right here. This is the rubber gasket that fits around the cap. I'm going to probably replace that as well. And what I like to do is get the old cap or the old oil filter and put it in here. So I'm going to do that now with the shop towel. So I stuff a shop towel in here and I put that on top of it, just like this. There we go. So with the shop towel around it, I just kind of push that into the box, close that up, and now you have the old filter in a container that you can throw away. All right? So that's the old filter in there. So with the new filter, there we go. So we want to get the cap. So here's the cap. And we're gonna clean this really well. Dry it off. So any oil that's inside of there, you wanna dry that. Get rid of it. Clean it up real good. Just getting shop towels and just going on the inside, cleaning it up real well. See, it's nice and clean now. I'm also going to clean the threads on the outside. Okay, and then now is where you see on the outside here, there's a little rubber band right here on the lip. See, it goes all the way around. So you want to remove that and replace it with a brand new one that came in the box. So to do that, I use my screwdriver, and I'll be right back. Let me get that. So just kind of go under it with your screwdriver head and kind of pry it upward. There we go. See, it's feeding up. And then I just kind of give some there, pull it off, and it pops right off. So I don't want to get oil on the floor, so wipe that up, and then wipe again on the threads just to get any oil. Okay, and then the new one, we're going to open up the ring, and we're just going to feed it right down onto where it came from. So it was at the bottom there. We're going to feed it back around, plop it back onto the bottom, and that's good. So now we have the new rubber band, gasket, holder, whatever you call that thing. I don't know. I'm not a mechanic. Kind of seat that around there. And now we're ready for the oil filter. So the oil filter, you see those notches? Those notches feed into here. Just kind of put it in there and turn it, and it locks it into place. See that? So now I can put this back in the hole, and in theory, it will stay there and seat into that hole. Or if you don't want to go through this, because I have had issues sometimes of this falling out. So if you don't want to go through this, well, I'm dropping oil on the floor. If you don't want to go through this, the recommendation is to first put this down through the hole and get it seated so that the flat part is on the bottom going into the hole, into the engine. And the grooved parts are sticking up because that's what's going to lock into the oil cap. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and try this method first because this would be easier if I can do it all at once in one fell swoop. So that's what I've got. So now I'm going to go back up here and put that down into the engine and try to get it locked in. So let's go do that part. Move myself up here, get the light going again. Here. There. Get my camera set up down here. Trying to give you guys as good a view as possible. A lot of these tight spaces are really difficult to see what you really need to do. So without some really good camera shots, it's really difficult to see what's expected. So we're down there. So now we get the oil filter. And we're going to slide it down through here. I'm going to actually do the filter first because it'll be easier to get down through the hole. So moving this down through here, I'm just going to seat that into the hole that's down here. There it is. It's seated down there. I'll try to circle it in the there it is. I see it right in the center. You see a little brown cap on it right down there. So it's seated right down there, kind of center video right now, right above the opening in that hole there. If you look down south, a little southeast, it's right there seated. I don't know if you can see it, but you just set it right down in there. All right, so now let me get the cap back on it and tightened up. The work isn't difficult. It's getting these goddamn camera angles right is the hard part, so I can make a decent video. Hopefully it's a decent video for you guys. I like to show as much as I can on actually what's going to happen. All right, so I'm going to grab my cap here, and I'm going to put that back down through the hole here. Again, you're going to have to push this aside a little bit so you can slide that through. Once it's down in there, just keep your hands on the hex nut here, and then just follow it down. Go down through the engine until you feel that it's seated on top of the filter. Once it's on top of the filter, you will feel that it should seat nicely on top of the threads. You should start being able to turn those threads and tighten it, and you should feel it nicely seated. If it's not seated, you have to readjust it to get it seated. You don't want to misthread it as you're getting it on. So I'm turning it counterclockwise to get the threads correct, and then once I feel that the threads are correct, I'm going to turn it right clockwise. Once it's on there nicely, you should be able to feed your fingers around the cap and the base, and you should feel that it's parallel, kind of even. The spacing is even all the way around, okay? So that is on there nicely. And now I am going to bring my socket wrench down there again, and I'm going to tighten it up. I'm going to put this on the cap again, like that. And I'm going to tighten it by turning it clockwise. You want it to be nice and tight. You'll feel it when it's tight enough. Once it stops turning, it's tight enough. Until it turns, and if it keeps turning, that means it's not tight. So keep turning it. Once it's done, you pull that out and you're done. So now we have successfully replaced the oil filter. The key part is you have to have that tool, otherwise you won't be able to get down into the engine to unscrew it to pull it out. So now that we have that in, we no longer need to have this arm disconnected. So we're going to reconnect this arm again. Stand this up here, and let's get that done. Okay. All right, so remember, we took off this arm. We're going to have to put this back on. So this pops right back into the hole it came out of, and this pops right down into the hole where it came from. Pull this forward a little bit and plop it right down. Okay, next part is let's get this reattached. Remember, we loosened this up. We're just going to push that back on, and it should push back on with no problems. So now that's nicely on. So now we just have to get the screwdriver and tighten up these screws that we loosened up earlier. So here's the first one. Remember, we're going to tighten that up now. And you want to tighten it up so that it doesn't take a chance of coming loose. So just torque it down. Doesn't need to be super tight, so that one's good. Now I'm going to go to the other side and do that one. Remember this one here. You're going to turn it clockwise. Turn it counterclockwise to loosen it, clockwise to tighten it. So that is nice and tight now. So now this arm is back on and you're good to go. Now, the next part is adding the oil. This is where the oil goes. Right in here. You're refilling the oil reservoir. So you're going to need to pour the oil in here. To do that, you're going to need a funnel. Pick a funnel that's right for you. I use this one for my purposes. I just set it right on top and I pour the oil right into it and it goes. 1 second, I'll be right back. All right, so we are back. Once again, this is full synthetic motor oil, SAE 5W40. I already had some left in an old container, but I didn't have enough. So you see I have 1, 2, 3 quarts left, and I need 4 quarts. So I had to buy another one, and I'm going to take a quart out of this one. So the first thing I'm going to do is put the 3 quarts that are in this one into the engine. All right, so let's go do that now. All right, so there we are. So open this bad boy, and again, there's 3 quarts in this one. And I'm just going to kind of hold the base and just pour the oil right into the engine block. And I'm just going to pour it all because I need it all. Again, I need 4 quarts. So this is the first 3. All right, so I just want from the top, I want to go, you see the line is here, I want to go down to the 4 quart. It starts with 5 quarts, I believe. This is a 5 quart. Yes, 5 quarts. So I'm going to take in one of those quarts. So I want to go from up here down to there to make it 5 quarts. Stop it and check it. Make sure it's flush. Nope, I need more. So I am getting pretty close now. A little bit more. That is just right. Put the lid back on my oil, and I will save this now for the next oil change. So the oil is changed. So now I'm going to clean my funnel, make sure it's not leaking all over my engine. I like to clean it inside and out, get those liquids off of it. So just clean it inside and out. So I'm done with this one. This is my oil funnel. All right, next up, I want to change or fix the engine coolant. Actually needs filled, and I don't think I have any engine coolant. Hold on one second. All right. So this is definitely a problem. I'm gonna have to run to the advanced auto because you can see here, this is the engine coolant container. And you see it's really low. It's really low. That's not good. You want that to come up. You want it to be, I'm not sure exactly where the fill line is, but it's definitely higher than that. It's super low right now. I think it should be all the way up, honestly. So I'm gonna have to run to advanced auto and get more engine coolant, and then I will be back. All right, folks, I'm back. I went to the store and I got the coolant. This is what it takes. I wasn't sure. There were like 200 types, but I had them look my vehicle up in the system, and this is what they returned, and it had a requirement for something called HOAT. Is a specification for the coolant for this particular vehicle or type of vehicle. And so I got what was recommended, and I'm going to get it put into the system now. So we are pointed at the coolant container reservoir. Just going to take that cap off, pop it up, set it over here, put my filter in, my funnel. Just kind of pour it in there. I want to keep an eye on the reservoir, and I don't really see a line where it should go up to. So you can see the reservoir, got the funnel in. I'm going to fill it up. And my problem is I don't really see a fill line. Oh no, I see one on the other side. It was really low, super low. All right, that is almost good. A little bit more. Oh shit, nope, that was too much. It looked like there was plenty of room in there. Let me clean that up. So let me see if I can pop this cap back on. All right, there we go. So the engine coolant reservoir is now full. When you're doing an oil change, you want to check all of your reservoirs to make sure they are good. So before I forget, I'm going to put my engine oil lid back on. Remember, that goes right here. that on, screw it back in. Did a couple of clicks. So now we want to check the oil to make sure the levels are correct. And that's what the dipstick there is for. Let me get this camera set up here. God damn. So you see this dipstick? I'm going to pull that out and I'm going to check the oil level. Pull this bad boy out and check it. Let me put the lid back off for now until I finish this. Then I'll pull this out, clean it. Clean the edge here. And then I want to put it back in the hole. And then bring it back up and look at the levels. It's really clean, so it's hard to see. But you can see it's some drips there at the end. So that's good. Let me do it one more time. Clean this off. There we go. Put it back down in the hole. Then bring it back up. Look at the oil, oil, nice and clean. And you can see a small drip forming on the edge there. So this is definitely nice and full. So I'll put it back down in there. So the oil is successfully done. I'm gonna put the cap back on, screw it back on, make sure it clicks a couple of times. Okay. All right, so next up is the windshield wiper fluid. That's this guy right here. So I'm just gonna open that up, get my windshield wiper fluid funnel, put some windshield wiper fluid in here. So you can hear it when it's getting filled. Now that's full. All right. So we filled the coolant, filled the washer fluid, filled the oil, and over here on the other side, this is the brake fluid. My phone over here. You can see the cap right there. And let me get my light shining down in there to see how full that looks. Okay, so you can see there's a max line there. And I am pretty close. You see it's right up. See that liquid moving? So the brake fluid is good. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of the oil change. So as a last step, of course, I'm going to clean up everything. I'm going to put this back on, so I'm going to have to put it back in there and get all of those 5 screws here put back in and tightened up. Those screws right there, remember I took them off at the beginning. All right, welcome back. So I wasn't going to show you putting the cap, the engine guard back on the engine, but I feel like it might be, for some, it's something that just needs a little bit more explaining. So you see the engine guard here, it's kind of hanging over there. I don't have all the screws in yet. But what you have to do is you have to lift up this engine guard and you have to slide it forward toward the front of the engine. So look up here now. You see how this engine guard is seated over top of this front plastic area. It's seated over top of it. Once you do that, you get the screw started. That's the screw right here. Get that screw started. And then start working your way around getting the other screws. So here's a screw. Right there. I got that one started. And now I'm going to go back here and I'm going to get this one started. And then I'm going to go over to the other side and get the other started. It's important that you get these screws started before you tighten them. It's super important because if you don't, the screw holes are not going to line up, okay? You need this to be flexible enough that you can slide it back and forth just small amounts in order to line yourself up with those screw holes. So I wasn't going to record this part, but then I realized maybe I should because you might get stuck on this part and be unable to get this engine guard back on there. And the reason is you might have over tightened the screws early on in the process. So you see, I'm just going to line these bad boys up. And I'm just gonna start the screws. That's all I'm doing. I'm starting them. Started here, and started here. Now I'm gonna go to the other side and I'm gonna put the other 2 in and I'm gonna start those. Once they are in the holes and started, then I'm going to use my ratchet to go tighten them up. So I'm gonna keep this here, but I'm gonna go on the other side and I'm gonna tighten or get this one here started down there, and then I'm gonna get this one up here started. I'll move the camera when I'm ready for that one. So let me go to the other side and do that. So see here's the hole. I'm gonna go through that hole there, and I'm gonna get it into the hole there, and I'm gonna start it in. I'm gonna start screwing it. So just lining it up and starting the screw, starting to thread it. Okay, so that's in. So then there are other screws that should go in here. I don't have those. I'm missing 1 or 2, so I have what I have. Let me turn this around this way so you can see over here now. Hopefully it's there. So now I'm going to do this one up front, and I've got the last screw that I have. I had a total of 5 screws. The other screw is going to go here. So there's that hole. Slide that forward. It helps to have your other arm. Slide this forward a little bit. Line it up. And if you'd have these all tightened up, you would have not been able to make those micro level movements in the engine guard. You have to slide it, be able to slide it forward and backward little bits to be able to line these holes up with the screw holes. So only once you get all 5 of them started do you get the ratchet and tighten them up. Okay, and that's what I'm going to do now. So I am back. So now I'm going to start with the front one here, and I'm going to tighten this up. And again, this is a number, what did I say this number was? So number 10. So number 10 hex. All right. Come on, you fuck. There we go. All right. That's nice and tight. Now we're moving on to the second one here. Right here. Slide this back a little bit. Right here. And again, sorry for the profanity, but I'm really not sorry. I'm an adult, and that's the language I use, and sorry if it offends you. Hopefully the video still helps, even through all the harsh, very bad, evil language that'll make me burn in hell. All right. So again, I wasn't going to show this part, but once I got down here, I realized it's a step that's important to get back into the video, because getting that engine guard put back into place is sometimes a struggle. You have to use both hands. You have to get both hands up under there. You have to line it up properly. Remember the ones back here on the back side here? Can you see it okay? Yep. So just tighten that up. This really is the biggest pain in the ass part of doing the oil change. Is just getting this engine guard off and putting it back on again. But it's an important piece that you want on your engine to protect your engine, so you just got to take the time it takes to get this on and off. That's tight. So now we're going to turn around here to the last one. Right here. There we go. So there's that. Good. That's the last one right here. And that is, again, you see how that lip goes on top of and slots into this plastic area here at the front of the bumper. So it seats over top of it, okay? And I already tightened this a lot by hand, so there's not a lot of tightening required. So that's it, folks. That really is it. So that is it, folks. This oil change is complete. So what I plan to do from here is take this for a small ride, 5 or 10 minute ride around town, get the fluids moving about. And of course, I'll put my vehicle down now, you see. Vehicle is down. Slide out my jack. And then I'm going to close my hood. Make sure you have nothing. Make sure you have nothing inside of here. If you stored anything here, make sure you move it out. All right. look over your engine really closely. Make sure you left no towels, no screwdrivers, nothing on the engine block. Make sure your caps are on correctly, okay? And then from there, you just pull this out, snap it back down here, and then close this engine, close the hood. And that's all there is, folks. So again, that was how you change the oil on a 2016 Fiat Abarth. It's the same process for all of the Fiats, I believe. All the different models of Fiat, even I think earlier and later years, but I'm not exactly sure which years my oil change was applicable to. But this was a super easy job. It just took a little bit of my time, a little bit of my effort, and now I've gotten the oil change done, and I'll be able to head down the road on this vacation without worrying about the car breaking down or anything like that. All right, we're back, folks. So I'm going to show you how to reset the engine oil in the Fiat Abarth. So you take your keys, put it in the ignition, turn it to the accessories area. I need to make sure my door is shut first. So once you see that, you press the gas pedal 3 times quickly in succession. And now you see it's reset. So that's all you have to do. So there it is. So you turn it to the accessories, just one slot. You just move the key one position to the right, clockwise, and then you push this pedal 3 times. 1, 2, 3. That's it. That's all it takes. And then it's reset. So now it's ready to go for another however long. So that's it, folks. I hope this video was helpful to you. If it was, feel free to hit that like and subscribe. As usual, my videos are long as fuck, and I apologize for the length, but I like to talk, and I like to really show step by step, taking nothing for granted, assuming that you know nothing, right? Because as a non-mechanic myself, I sometimes, the smallest things hold me up, and if I don't see it, I don't understand it. So hopefully by seeing step by step throughout the process here, this is going to help you feel empowered to change your own oil in your Fiat Abarth, so you don't have to pay the garage to do it for you. Because again, there's a lot of extra money and a lot of upselling that they do at these garages. If you invest one time in all of the stuff that you need, and you have them for life. So that's what I did. And so I love changing my own oil. I love changing my own brake pads, my own rotors, my own bleeding my oil, bleeding my brake lines. I can do all that stuff. And it's because I decided to stop paying the man, learn to do these things myself, and become more empowered to do some of the things. Again, I don't claim to be a mechanic. I'm far from it. There's a lot of things, most things I don't know. But what I do know is I did not like paying the exorbitant amounts that these garages charge you in order to do simple things like an oil change. All it takes is a little bit of my own time, right? It took about an hour of my time. It took maybe a little bit longer because I had to run and get some parts. But usually it takes about between 30 minutes and 45 minutes for me to get the plate off at the bottom, get the oil drained, take the filter out, put the new filter in, replace the oil, and then change the other fluids and put that cap back on, that engine guard back on. It takes me 30 to 45 minutes, sometimes an hour, but it's well worth it to save that money, especially in today's economy. So I hope that this video helped you. If it did, feel free to hit that like and subscribe button. Look for future videos where I'll be doing more self-help, step-by-step guides to help you, the non-mechanic like me, be able to get these things done and feel empowered and feel good about it, feel knowledgeable and feel able and capable. So that's my goal, and I hope it helped. So have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you next time. Peace. Dirk out.